Hi, I'm Steve Clemens, and I have a question. Is the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran dragging the world to an economic meltdown? Let's get to the bottom line. As Iran and the U.S. wait for the other to blink first, the economic ruin caused by the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran cuts deeper and deeper. It's not just the tens of billions of dollars spent directly on the war, nor the hundreds of billions of dollars of damage to Iran and Arab countries in the Gulf. And it's not just the extra 50% we pay when filling our cars up with gas. The Hormuz standoff is impacting the price of goods and services everywhere. And it's not just Americans who will be footing the bill. Around the world, flights have been canceled, school weeks have been shortened, and factories have been shut down, meaning that workers have no income. So how far will the financial fallout of the Iran war go? Today, we're talking with Richard Wolff, Professor Emeritus of Economics at the University of Massachusetts, and he's author of The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself. Richard, so great to have you on today. Look, we have some very serious things going on in the world. Major conflict. United States and Israel attack Iran, and we're now well into it, well beyond the little excursion that President Trump first framed this around. I want to ask you, from an economic perspective or a geopolitical perspective, what do you believe is the roster of winners in this conflict, and what are the roster of losers?
Shalom. First of all, I'd like to start off by giving all great honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakadash. Double honors to teachers, elders, and the apostles of Great Millstone. Likewise, brothers put out this fruit. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and two brothers and sisters tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson's titled, Edom, Coming to an End Forever. And for those of you who don't know what Edom is, it's the empire of the Edomites, okay? Better known as Caucasians or so-called white people. And they are the current rulers of this earth. Now, you saw in that opening clip, there's a discussion about what is happening to America, okay, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, and is also known as Great Babylon. And at the end, the reporter, he says, there are winners and losers. Now, of course, when I show you the other part of it, you're going to see the mindset of these people, because these people have the mindset of an earthly way of thinking. You know, that one empire goes up, the next one comes down, or when one comes down, the next empire goes up. But here's what the scripture says, who the winners and the losers are. This is the book of Psalms 47. That's how verse 1 reads, to the chief musician, a psalm for the sons of Korah. O clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto power with the voice of triumph. For the Lord, Yahweh, Most High, is terrible. He's a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. He shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loved. Selah. And when you look at that, this is speaking about the winners, who are going to be the children of Israel, okay? So-called blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, and Hispanics, okay, 12 tribes of Israel. And the losers are going to be all the other tribes of this earth, starting with the Edomites, okay, or Esau, or the kingdom of Edom. And who's going to do this? The Lord, Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh, the Most High, the Father, is going to send his only begotten Son to conquer Edom and all the other tribes on this earth and set up a righteous kingdom. So there it is right there. Now let's go a little further into this video and hear what this man has to say. And of course, we're going to bring out the scriptures.
Well, acknowledging that we are not at the end of this story, even the story of the war on Iran, some things I think are already pretty clear and becoming clearer by the day. And to take it in the biggest picture I can offer you, I believe there is something going on that is genuinely historic in its dimension. And I don't believe this very often. I'm not prone to that kind of large picture approach. But here I think it's necessary. And what I mean is that there is, and we're living through it, the passing of an empire. As much as the British Empire dominated the 18th and 19th centuries of global development, the American Empire replaced it. It's been about 100 years. It's been especially the case after World War II, when all the other contestants for empire dominance destroyed each other, literally, in the war, leaving the United States in a strange position as the only one, in a manner of speaking, left standing. The dollar becomes the global currency. America builds 750 military bases around the world. It dominates the economy of the Western Hemisphere and the rest of the globe pretty much as well. Everyone should have understood that that was a temporary situation of the world that could not possibly last. And I think the big error, if you like, made in the United States, certainly by our leaders, is not to understand how temporary and how tenuous all of that would be. And they have sustained that illusion through the second half of the 20th century and now into the 21st. So they don't face the reality. And what is the reality? The decline of the American empire.
Now, it's very interesting what he said just now in that clip. Okay, is that they have not come to terms that America's not great, that in fact they're losing their power. In fact, what they haven't come to the conclusion is that Esau, the so-called white man, okay, the people that are ruling this earth, they are in a decline. In fact, let's go to Psalms 49 and verse 11. It reads, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling place to all generation. They call their lands after their own names. And we can see, I mean, what did Trump do last year? He actually changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of the United States or something like that. Talk about them setting up bases all across this earth, basically, having their ammunitions and their sentries in the backyards of these other tribes. So basically, America, or Great Babylon, has held all these tribes on this earth hostage in their own land after World War II. Okay, we go in the book of Job 20, and Cyrus for reads, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphant of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. So right here, clear judgment that the Lord Yahweh Shemashai is going to bring on Great Babylon, America, to the point where there's not going to be any memory of this place. Okay? And they are hypocritical. What have they done with the power? What has the so-called white man done with his power and his rulership on this earth? Nothing but absolute wickedness. In fact, let's go into Job 14 and Cyrus 5, because they're in denial. Okay, complete denial. It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Turn from him that he may rest till he shall accomplish as a hireling his day. So he works for the Lord Yahweh Shai. For there's hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. So there it is right there. They believe that, yeah, we're going down, but we can come back up again. We were on top, but, we declined for whatever reason. We can bring it back. That's why you have the mantra playing, make America great again. But what are we seeing? They might as well have just said, make America worse, because it is worse than it was before this man came up with Make America Great Again. Let's go to Malachi 1 and 4. It reads, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shai, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the bond of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh Shai had indignation forever. Notice the world is going up against, what Israel and America is doing over there because of what's taking place over there. It's as if this man knows exactly what hurts the most. Why the Strait of Hormuz? If you know that's kind of like the vein or the artery that leads to the heart of the economy of this world, why would you go there and clog it up? What happens when you clog an artery? Okay, you can cause a heart attack, okay, or stroke, okay, because the blood can't get pumping. And this is exactly what this man has done. So basically, he's creating a heart attack on the earth, so to speak, okay? You can see the people are lamenting all across this earth. Let's go to Isaiah 24. And so verse 10, it reads, the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. In fact, when you take a look at this, I got this from an article here. You can see here that the people are neutral in who they trust. Many don't trust the Democratic, nor do they trust the Republican. In fact, the people are losing faith in the government that controls Edom or controls the United States of America. Okay, so we know where that's going to lead. Okay, and we're we're looking at every day, just any moment now before SHTF. Okay, in other words, shit hit the fan. Okay, let's go into Revelation 12 and 12 before we move on to the next clip here before we close out. It reads, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, which is the elect, or the hopeful elect. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Those are the people that the Lord has not revealed as truth to them, so they are lost in the sauce. And when it crashes, they are going to just be in shock. Okay, be prepared to hear about a lot of mass suicides and stuff, in certain nations, and even here in Great Babylon, America, it says, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. The elites know they have a short time, but the rest of these people, these visionaries, these people that report the news, they don't really know. And even if they have a clue, they don't want you to know, henceforth, to keep putting that hope in everyone. When you go back to Job 1:14, and verse 7 says, for there's hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. So people really believe we're just going through a phase. Somehow we'll get through this. Just think about the depression, okay, in the early 20th century. We got through that, right? Didn't we?
The rise of Russia, China, India, Brazil, the BRICS nations, whatever you want to call it, the other parts of the world that recovered from World War II and went on, each in their own way, to develop economically, and in many cases, to outdevelop the United States, which is the unevenness that the world has always shown. But we are led, especially by our president, by someone who denies everything I just said, and who in fact wants to project and act in the world as if we still had the predominance that came out of World War II. And we don't.
If I was still in the world, let's say I was in college still, and I had to do a book report, I would be using a lot of the statements from this man as, and write a book report on this or present this as, boy, he really knows, he's an author, he's a professor emeritus out there in University of Massachusetts, and, but at the end of the day, we know there's a gleam of hope in all Edomites, that somehow things can get back on track. But let's go into the scriptures here. This is the book of Isaiah 14, starting verse 10. It reads, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Now he's talking about, the bricks and, how they have been building themselves up and, being so used under the shadow of an empire like Edom or an empire like America. They're looking and saying, well, in a combined way, we can be better than you. We've learned to navigate through, all of your sanctions and all of your bullying and all that stuff like that. But at the end of the day, okay, as I open up and with the scripture concerning the winners is going to be Yasharallah, okay, the children of Israel led by Yahushai when he returns, okay, and the losers is going to be all these other tribes. But we're talking about Great Babylon, America, or the kingdom of Edom here. Here's what's going on with them. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and noise of thy voiles, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of power. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Why? Because that was not his job. Okay, he's a hireling. His job was to commit atrocities, murder, rape, and evil on this earth until he's put down by the Mashiach when he returns. And that's going to be a glorious, violent display, that the Mashiach is going to execute on the kingdom of Edom, or these Edomites. Okay, let's close with the book of Amos 9 and 8, because here it is. You can bring out these news articles and these news feeds all you want. It's entertaining, and we're going to use it to create videos to make sure our sheeps, or make sure the sheeps of the Mashiach are not confused of who's really in charge. It reads, behold, the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said the Lord Yahweh. So the Most High is looking at this place, Great Babylon, America, aka Idomia, aka the kingdom of Edom, to destroy. And he's going to save his elect. There it is. So who's the winner? We're the winner. And all the rest of you tribes are the losers. I'd like to close by giving all great honor to Yahweh, Bashim, Shai, Bashim, Kakadash. Shalom.